What's up, guys? It's your boy Kittens coming back to you guys with some huge news in Commander. There was a Commander ban list, and it was the rules committee. I was sitting around going like ban list, ban the rules committee, and they took me serious. So I figure if the community's taking me serious, let's take a second to talk about the ban wave. Instead of banning cards that literally kind of do nothing, like Mana Crypt, the Jeweled Lotus, there's actually a bunch of cards on the ban list that do stuff. That like cards do things, do stuff, win the game with stuff. But cards like Jeweled Lotus, Mana Crypt kind of do nothing. And honestly, I'm gonna say it. Unban all the mana ramp. Just straight up channel like Black Lotus, Moxes across the board. The reason why is because you can have a hand full of Moxes, full of ramp, and it's just nothing. Like land plus a bunch of Moxes, Jeweled Lotus, it is playing your commander, and then you have nothing in hand. Like it's cool and everything, but a bunch of Lotuses and draw without a win condition is going to lose to a mid-range deck all day, all day. I think it's going to be more interesting to ban cards that actually have impact on the game, because it's great to say, oh no, well Moxes come back, all these other mana ramp cards like Mana Crypts and stuff. And it's like, oh no, all these ramp cards are going to play these strong permanents that are going to do what? Win the game. Ban the cards that win the game. What the heck? What are we doing? So the first thing to talk about probably is say goodbye to Demonic Consultation, Thassa's Oracle. Just straight up target the strongest combos in the game that can be performed on turn 1 to end the game. Just straight up. Just what are we even doing, rules committee? There are combos in the game that you can perform to win the game on turn 1, and my eye is twitching because I kind of want to have a physical representation of that, but I don't want to go through the effort of recording my face doing that and then putting a little video cam in there. You know what I mean? Ban combos that actually win. I swear to God. That I just want to cry about it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Mana Crypt Jewel Lotus got banned because on turn 2 you can have 4 or 5 mana. That's cute. On turn 2 you can win the game. Ban the cards that literally end the game on turn 2. What do you mean? You can play in a casual setting. You can play a combo that you can. My alarm went off. Life, man. I'm sitting here bro. All right. So a bunch of these cards probably should stay on. But let's talk about the ban wave. The other cards that should honestly come out, that it's funny to say, but cards that win in just an obnoxious way. The honest thing would be land destruction. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna be the guy that says it. Land destruction should be banned across the board because it allows you to obnoxiously win by floating mana or playing something that it doesn't destroy. In red, there's literally 10 to 20 of these spells. Just straight up, I'm about to buy them for myself to play a deck and to have fun with it. But I'm going to say it. They should all be banned. It's just ridiculous. You can play 10 of them, and the only reason that they're not pricey is because people don't play them. Because they're not fun to play against. But, I feel because they're not fun to play against, people broadly speaking will, ask you to not play them. I might be able to get away with one game. It's coming out. It's coming out. I'm gonna buy them. The is the pain of I'm gonna buy them for myself. Honestly, still anyway, even if they get banned. But the thing is there's a bunch of them. You see things probably one of the first cards, Balance. Balance is on here, but it's basically the same thing. But in red, there's a number of destroy all artifacts, destroy all creatures, destroy all lands, and you can play planeswalkers, or there's kind of a handful of enchantments. There's a handful of things you can do to get around this, and then balance is basically the same thing. It's just you can play 10 of balance just in your deck. So some cards that should come off, some cards that should go back in. I feel there's a bunch of questionable cards that are on the ban list that are basically a question of how strong does the new ban list people want the game to be. kind of like it really comes down to how strong do they want the game to be. When you look at something like Yawgmoth's Bargain, 6-mana enchantment, skip your draw step, pay 1, draw a card. It reads as a bunch of other enchantments that allow you to pay life to draw cards. You can play, permanents for free with a number of different there's literally a 4-mana green creature that just came out that when he attacks, you can play a permanent from your hand to, the board. You can, ramp that out with like a Soul Ring and then, attack next turn, play Bargain on the board and then bada bing, bada boom, pay 1, draw a card, draw like 20. There's a number of enchantments that'll do that as well. So it's kind of like, I feel like it's a question of like how strong do they want some of these interactions to be. Upheaval is an interesting one. Kind of the same thing. You float your mana, play a bunch of stuff, like return everything, play your stuff or something. It's just a problem. I feel like it's just way too strong. Tolarian Academy. The funny thing is like Upheaval might have been played more than Land Destruction. So Upheaval might have had like a price point or something and eventually got banned. But it was probably just played because it didn't destroy lands. I was sitting here like that's probably what happened there. Trade Secrets is like an awkward one. There's a bunch of cards that should definitely stay off. Tinker is an interesting one. Tinker is probably the most interesting card to talk about because I was making some pretty hefty accusations at some mana ramp and some like, oh, you gotta like actually play some stuff that does some stuff. Like you gotta actually like, when you play permanents that end the game, that's kind of the thing that matters. Stuff that does stuff is the thing that does stuff. If it's not doing stuff, then it does nothing. And that's kind of like the weird adage of like, there are cards on the ban list that kind of just don't do stuff, really, and it's just, but so let's talk about Tinker. Tinker basically is this weird question of should a bunch of tutors get banned out? Literally just a bunch of them at the same time. Because you could ban out individually strong cards, but if there's no tutors, then it comes down to draw cards. Like it comes down to a weird mix of draw cards into drawing the combos that you would need to win, or playing a number of permanents back to back that individually search or draw or like do weird searching of like the top 4. Or, there's a number of different library interaction searching that Magic has that could be targeted. That you could kind of, let's say, ban all the tutors and then leave all the strong combo cards alone. There's a bunch of cards I looked at here that I'm sitting here going like, honestly, this card's a little bit too strong. But if there's no tutors, like Biorhythm, if there's no tutors, then does Biorhythm really matter? You have to pair it up with a moment where you can actually kill a player. And it's a little obnoxious, but like, yeah, it's, it happens on turn 8 or something. You could ramp into 8 mana, sure, turn 6 or something, but that's pretty reasonable. As far as like not being able to tutor it, yeah, there's ways to free play it, but if you're using the free play spells, you have to have them in your hand, right? So the no tutors is an interesting quandary of like what to do with a ban list with a huge ban wave of cards that are just objectively better, that have kind of been, there's kind of a large number of cards that are objectively better. Some cards in a mixed way are on the ban list, but kind of also not on the ban list. Cards that have very similar effects are kind of just sitting around where you're like, wait a second, that's the other sock I was missing, and you're like, wait a second, that just looked the same. And it's one of those moments. It's like that weird bit of like it's basically the same thing. Personally, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it again. Just like Sway of the Stars. I want this card back. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. Worldfire. I think there's justifiable cards where like life total becomes 1, life total becomes 7. Like, yeah, you destroy everything, all the lands are gone, you can try to float mana, but there's not really like great ways to get around Worldfire stuff, and the life totals go down. So, with the life totals going down, the game really doesn't extend that much, and it's a weird cards that I feel like should come back. They could come back. I would love if they come back. Sway of the Stars, please. That's actually, as funny as it is one of the ones I was thinking about investing in just to have, but did not do that. Did not invest in any of the ban list cards for Magic. I have a bunch of ban list stuff for Yu-Gi-Oh, but not for Magic. Not for Magic. All right, so yeah, I feel like that's pretty much all I'd want to talk about. I feel like there's a bunch of questionable cards that are on here that are a question of how strong does the new rules committee want the game to be, and then at the same time, there's a big question of do we ban cards that are reasonably impactful board permanents, or do we leave it up to percentile chance of drawing cards and deck building, of having a weird mixture of draw cards between permanents and counter spells and things like that, and then just having no tutors, just tutors gone, good stuff in, or maybe just a weird mixture of just the cards that win the game, objectively the strongest stuff, and then see where we go from there. It's an interesting in between of because of good cards come out, do they just get banned? I don't know. Weird question. So hope you guys have enjoyed the video. It's been your boy Kittens. Peace.